House a few weeks back passed the ban on paying people for abortions. The president has said, or the OED has said that the president would sign this legislation. Is the White House putting pressure on the Senate to pass the Lindsey Graham bill that would ban 20 weeks?
I'm sorry, what was the last part of the question?
Is the White House putting pressure on the Senate to pass the Lindsey Graham 20-week ban?
I know that there have been conversations about that, and the administration supports that policy, but beyond that, I don't know if there have been further conversations or pressure applied, but certainly support that effort.
Sarah,
April?
Congresswoman Wilson, I talked to her a couple of hours ago, and she says that this is the president's Benghazi. She says that that Jackson that his Green Berets were in Niger trying to find out information and doing a mission about Boko Haram. And she said that his transmitter was still emitting for 2 days, emitting a signal when he was located. And she says that makes no sense why he wasn't located. What say you about that? And also, what do you say about her comment that he did not know, and the wife, the widow, said that the president did not know his name? He kept saying, "Your God, your God."
Just because the president said your guy, I don't think that means that he doesn't know his name. As the president stated, the hardest job he has is making calls like that. I think it is appalling what the Congresswoman has done and the way that she's politicized this issue and the way that she is trying to make this about something that it isn't. This was a president who loves our country very much, who has the greatest level of respect for men and women in the uniform, and wanted to call and offer condolences to the family. And I think to try to create something from that the Congresswoman is doing is frankly appalling and disgusting.
What did you say about what she said about Boko Haram and Niger? What did you say about what she said about the mission and then
As I said to Major before, I'm not going to get into the details of that action at this point.
Was she right?
As I said before, I'm not going to get into the details of that action at this time, and when we have further information, I'll be happy to discuss it with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted, setting aside the Congresswoman, setting aside the discussion about the politicization of this, the woman who raised Sergeant Johnson spoke to the Washington Post and said she felt like her son had been disrespected. And again, I'm not asking about what Congresswoman Wilson had to say, I'm not asking any of that, but given that somebody who has, as you rightly note, making these phone calls is probably one of the hardest things that commander in chief has to do. Given that, is the president at all reconsidering the way that he communicates with these families? Has General Kelly counseled him on perhaps how he might want to choose or change his words in the future?
General Kelly was present for the call and thought it was completely appropriate. He thought the call was respectful, and he thought that the president did the best job he could under those circumstances to offer condolences on behalf of the country.
And the federal
the Canadian and the Mexican negotiators have rejected the
Okay,
proposals.
just a minute. I want to turn this off. Hold on a second. I apologize.
Not yet, but as the president...
Okay, because I think it's important that we all know what's going on here. Okay, I'm going to go back to this, and I want you to see the top. This basically says Sarah Sanders White House press briefing conference. And the conference was published. It was published on October 18th, 2017. And there's been over 12,140 views right now, plus probably a little more. That conference, that press conference, was a total of roughly, I think, 24 minutes and 33 seconds. And here's the problem that I see with this. Let me change it. Because what's basically happening is that everybody has, let me get my glasses off a minute, because I don't need them anymore. The point that I'm trying to make is that, the White House press briefing reporters, they need to double check their sources and double check their facts. Now, I don't know about you, but I picked up on the information that was incorrect. And it's all about the names. And the one reporter there, April, has no idea, is totally clueless. Okay? Because before that, the names are, and I did my research as best as I could through what I've read. I went and I finally got the chance to see the entire conference. I heard this conference live at the time, and I picked up on the names being changed, and nobody picked up on it in the room. Nobody. That was careless and reckless, because as a reporter in the White House press briefing room, none of that would have happened in the past. But see, the problem being is that you have it all now, digital news and everything. So while everybody's making a big deal about the mess here that's happened, mistakes happen. And as we see, mistakes are evidently the reporters are at a gotcha moment. And they just care about gotchas. But see, it wasn't a gotcha. All right? Reporters before April said his correct name. His last name is Johnson. She came up and said his name, the one was Jackson. Now, I looked at all the information on all the fallen officers in that, the other four listed. Those names, there was 2 Johnsons and 2 other names, but none of them were Jackson. So what was April talking about? Okay, for one thing. All right, I come basically the facts, and the facts speak for themselves. Nobody in that room did any checking, and Sarah didn't catch it, but I don't blame her. I blame the reporters who were after gotcha moments and sensationalism and pushing their own personal narrative. And yes, I do say personal narrative, and I'm calling out all the reporters, the Clues, the Fox Blues, and everything else. And yes, if you've heard that, yes, I did take that from Dennis Michael Lynch's earlier statements, walk and talk, not walk and talk, but the truth from earlier today. And yes, but see, nobody questions the different things of what's really going on here. Okay, you don't get gotcha moments, and it's not proper. Okay, everything that our president did in regards to that phone call was correct. Okay, years ago, I used to live down the street from a family, and the husband and wife used to work for the Miami Herald. And you know what they did? They were proofreaders. And that was back in the 70s when there was no internet or a World Wide Web. And, according to Al Gore, he didn't create it till later, I guess. But, there was no World Wide Web back then. So they literally had to, they did their own research and proofreading, even after the articles. Because, yes, later on, they had to be retracted and everything, which was understandable. So this is what we have to go back to, all right? You have people sensationalizing these things. And today what I saw, that one report from little George Stephanopoulos, on ABC, it was pathetic. It was, just, you don't do that. First of all, you got to give the family time to grieve, okay, in any situation. But to go after our General Kelly like that, and our president like that, and, put her in a situation, I've been in those situations where, things happen. But, everybody's got to be held accountable. Everybody in that room and all the other reporters, everybody in that room has to be accountable. And if you hear something, it's like what we see. If we see something, you say something. Well, if you hear something that's not right, somebody should have spoke up. John Roberts, where were you? Okay? Incredibly stupid on your part. And you know, I don't know. John Roberts, I don't speak for CNN or anybody else, but Fox News and everything, yeah, you should know better. You should have said, hey, wait a minute, April, you're wrong. You got to put it on the spot, okay? Because you don't have proofreading anymore, all right? This is all, you know, we have the 24-hour, news cycle. And when news happens and breaking news happens, it's out there. And once it's out there, you can't put it back in the box. You cannot put it back in the box. And that's the problem with today's media, okay? You got to listen up. And I'm going to have another scandal scandal talk segment, a little bit later about something else. And that, I did not much care for. But that's for later. This is my scandal talk segment for today. And this is, Scooter Dude, Brian Taylor. And even though we have never met, but DML is my only source for news. And sometimes, like he said today, somebody sent out something, some of his people, he was saying something about sending out some wrong information, and one of his writers, but it wasn't the content, it was the title, and nobody double checked. And that's all it is. It's about accountability. Everybody needs to be held accountable. Okay? Not only if you see something, say something, but a blind man could hear what was going on. And since today is, the 23rd of October, and that was published on the 18th of October, and nobody's picked up on what April did and what April said, and the misrepresentation of the names,